I'm
Work.
lucky then. I'm lucky, yeah. Okay, setting up. Is the show live on you? I think we're good. I think we're good to Malota.
Okay.
Thank you, Manase.
All right. We're live.
Yeah.
We're live. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Tongan pro athletes of today's and yesterday's. Welcome to our weekly conversation with our Tongan pro athletes. We are honored every week to bring to you one of our athletes to have a conversation, get to know them, and to find out what it takes to become a pro athlete, their commitment, their sacrifice, mental toughness, their preparation, hard work, and determination. In hopes that we learn from their journey and what it takes to become the athlete they are. But before we start, I want to ask everybody to please, if you like what we're doing, please share our conversation, share our page, and also if you go to YouTube and type in Tongan Pro Athletes, you will find all of our conversation there. So, so our guest tonight is Manase Tonga. He grew up in the Bay Area, attending Aragon High School in San Mateo, California, where he was an all-county and all-league. He also holds several records, including yards in a season and yards in a game. He also has his jersey retired by his high school, which is a nice honor. That's awesome. After graduation from high school, he served an LDS church mission in Honduras. When he returned, he attended BYU, playing as a fullback and the lead blocker for the all-time rusher Harvey Unga. Tonga Manase also scored 22 touchdowns at BYU. After his college career, Manase was signed by the Oakland Raiders in the 2010 NFL Draft as an undrafted free agent. Manase played for the Raiders for 3 years, and now working as a mental health field, helping those that need help. Manase, we're honored and tonight for you to accepting our invitation for us to have a conversation. You know, our page is just, we wanted to bring back the light on some of our athletes that has represented Tonga, taking that name all over the world. And wanted just to bring back some memories to people that, to our people, that the athletes that has taken the Tongan name out there are still around, and just to bring some light to them and bring them, bring their name back. And that's the conversation is all about, just to reminisce about, back in the days. So, but before we start, I want to ask you to come in, introduce yourself, let us know about your parents, introduce your parents, where they come from, what village you guys come from in Tonga, and then we'll continue after that. But welcome, man. I thank you for coming on.
Oh no, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here and just join the conversation. Just be a part of this podcast. I'm excited. I mean, I'm honored to be here. Also, kind of just touching on what you said, just with regards to Tongan athletes. It wasn't until I joined the page, and then until after I was done playing, or towards the end of my career, college and professional, I started to pay attention a little bit more about, just the pioneers, if you will, for
Sure.
Tongan, the Tongans that kind of laid the they blazed the trail coming, from the islands to here, and you know, people like yourself, really, putting, putting our little island on the map, and then just
Sure.
kind of allowing us to, to carry the torch. So it's, it's a huge honor to be among the many that
Sure.
came before us.
Yeah.
As far as me, so yeah, grew up, born and raised in San Mateo, California, oldest of 5 siblings. My parents are Latiume and Seneti, or Latiume Tonga and Seneti Vaitai Tonga.
Mhm.
My mom, she's from Halafuli in Vava'u, and my dad was raised in Faumotu.
Okay.
And so, very, very, obviously very humble beginnings.
Mhm.
They both met in the Bay Area.
Sure.
And then so that's kind of how, watered down version of how our family got started, right?
Sure.
But
So
yeah.
yeah. So growing up here in the Bay Area, uh, as a kid, was growing up as a kid. Just go back to when you were a kid playing. When did you start playing football, or did you always like football? Did you play other sports?
I mean, we always watched football. We always played backyard football.
Sure.
But as far as like, I didn't really start playing organized football till high school, until I got into high school.
Oh, okay.
Just we didn't really, Pop Warner was, it cost money, and so that was always never an option.
Sure.
But we did, starting middle school, 6th grade, we
Uh-huh.
got into I got into playing basketball,
Sure.
ran track, and then and then also, we got in. I personally got into playing music, or not, like, so I played the trombone in
Sure.
elementary, all through, and then I actually really liked playing in I played in the symphonic band and the jazz band.
Oh, nice.
I really liked. I played all through. I played all through high school. That's one of the secrets that I like to keep amongst our family.
Oh,
um,
hey,
but
playing
yes,
music help athletes a lot. I've heard
you
that
know,
somewhere that some athletes that play music, they're they're pretty good at both of them. But it helps
yeah,
it helps too with the
yeah, definitely helps. It helps, especially with when you're playing sports that require having some kind of rhythm. You
Mhm.
can kind of you know I, you know ballroom dancers. There's some guys that were said that they were doing ballroom
Right,
dancing
ballroom
or
dance,
ballet,
exactly.
right? But
That's
and so music too. It just it teaches a different kind of discipline, learning how to um you know I don't know. I think I'm getting off topic, but I played music, but we started out playing basketball, and then in middle school, and then ran track, and
Mhm.
then in high school, I continued. So we played football in the fall, basketball in the winter, ran track in the spring, and then I got into my around about like 5th, 6th grade. My dad was still kind of on his way out playing rugby, the San Mateo team. So, I would tag along with him when he would go to practice, and I
Sure.
remember running out in the field, just, playing touch with the old man, and then eventually, got into, just playing rugby a little bit. But that was the one sport my dad was like, there's no, at the time, right? So this is like mid 90s,
Yeah,
late 90s. And he's like, no, there's no future in rugby. Go stick to football.
football. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
No,
but
the
yeah,
same deal. It's the
I
same
grew
thing
an
with me.
appreciation for rugby.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing with me. My dad didn't want me to play rugby at all. He said, "You stick to football. I don't even want you to step on that rugby field because both of my older brothers played rugby."
Mm,
But the same thing, like your dad told you, that you better stay off that rugby field. Go and play uh, football.
yeah.
So but I read a few things about you being in high school. I mean, you were pretty good in high school uh, as a running back, and you just said that you didn't play till high school, so
Yeah.
you must have been talented enough to become a great athlete coming out of high school and playing in high school. What was the motivation there?
Um, Honestly, it was really simple. My dad never really pushed us to do anything.
Hmm.
His only rule was if we're gonna do something, we have to do it full speed, do it
Sure.
100%. And so, I mean, just kind of, I feel like that was kind of like everybody. You just,
Hmm.
but with that, that's kind of like the blanket statement. And then once
Sure.
they start playing, then it's like, okay, now that I know you're trying hard, you need to be the best. And so
Right.
that was kind of like, that was the
The
motto
mentality.
going into
Yeah.
high school, the mentality.
Yeah.
And then it was just always, it started out very, just go out there, do your best, and see how it goes.
Sure.
And then once we figured out, and even then playing, it was always just we're just gonna play football.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like we didn't really know that playing football was an option
I was
to
just going to
getting a
ask you
free
that. Was
education.
that an
Yeah.
option? No, I was just going to ask you, was that an option? I mean, did you, were you thinking that, well, I'm going to play football so I can, go on to college or go on to another to university? Is that just happened that you were good enough that the colleges or universities was looking at you?
Well, so like I was saying, going into it, so let me backtrack to just give it a little bit more context. So
Uh-huh.
like I said, we grew up playing backyard football, and in the neighborhood, like I was good, playing,
Sure.
But when my freshman year, oh man, I will if I tell you, I kid you not, I was like on the verge of like quitting football after that season.
Oh, wow.
It was
Okay.
it was a really bad experience for me, and 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 a lot of it was coming with high expectations, and you know, so
Sure.
I didn't do very well. I didn't do well at all. And then I I was fortunate enough to have some coaches that saw some skill and
Talent. Yeah.
athleticism in
So
me.
the
They saw my
skills.
talent, so
Yeah.
they kind of coached me along. So because of that, that kind of gave me the extra motivation that off season I needed to work out. I needed to, really um,
Put some
learn the
time
game
into
of
it.
football, put
Yeah.
some time into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my junior year in high school, going into my junior year, and after this is my sophomore. So freshman year I sucked, and then the varsity coach actually moved me up to varsity in my sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
And he basically said, you know what? I think you'd be better if you went up and played with the bigger kids, played with older kids,
Oh,
because
wow.
yeah. And so it was like a trial by fire.
Sure.
And I'm glad he did it, because I had a breakout. Like sophomore year was really when I was like, okay, I can play football. I know I can play football.
Especially
But it
playing
was,
with the upperclassmate.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so going into my junior year, there's all this talk. I had academic counselors talking about, you know, the junior year it's a make or break kind of year for a lot of the high school kids, especially when it comes to um, applications. Filling an application for
Sure.
colleges, and still like I was, oh, whatever. College. We're thinking about going to CSM anyway, and then I realized you can get a scholarship to go to college playing football.
Football. Yeah.
That's when it was introduced to me. It was my junior year, but from my academic counselors and my high school and my head coach. And when I realized that I could get a free education,
Sure.
that's when I turned it into like overdrive,
Right.
and I went all out. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
because a lot of times, kids are going into football and just thinking, oh, we're just going to play football, and I'll just go to the junior college or whatever it is, uh,
mhm,
and thinking is that, well, my parents can't afford to put me into college anyway, so But like you just said, there is that you finally realize there's a way for you to get into universities or colleges through football. through sports. And and I think most of us Polynesian, most of our parents can't afford to put us into college, and the only way most of us can get into college is through sports, and other things. Some kids are good at academics, but mostly that our us Polynesian, that's the only way we can get into college. But when did you realize that you can be able to get a scholarship to go on to and further your education?
Um, at the beginning of my senior year, so like my
Okay,
junior year, it was more okay. I need a college is an option. College, there's an opportunity there. I have a good shot at it.
sure.
And so, really, when I say overdrive, it was more me buckling down on my academics and just school and really focusing on
Right.
school. The because for a lot of us, football or just sports, just being outside, it comes easy.
Yes.
And so like I felt like for me, I could still put in the time at football, but I could cut corners here and there just for a little bit so that I can focus more on my academics.
Academics.
At the beginning of my senior year is when I started getting approached by small, lower level colleges, smaller
Mhm.
colleges, and then I would say maybe around like week 4 or 5 of my senior year, and again, I had to put in the work, and it. The only reason why these coaches were coming after me was because I was producing. I was putting out a good product on the field, and so I was fortunate enough to have coaches that pushed me, teammates that kept me motivated, and
Yeah.
then I was able to do my part. And then by week 4 or 5 was really when all the letters started to flood
Sure.
in, and
Let it.
and yeah.
That's a great feeling, though, and that a great feeling just especially in high school when you started getting letters from big
From
colleges, big universities, and man, what a feeling is that just to
yeah.
getting letters from these colleges.
Oh yeah. So it was definitely a good feeling, and it made kind of validated all the hard work that I was putting in, and at
Yeah.
the same time, it kept me motivated to keep trying.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would say my senior year was really when I knew I had a shot.
So let's say what is your would you say to high school kids that are coming up through high school? Because a lot of times we have these kids that are really good in football, but struggles in their classroom, struggles to get the the their grades to get into to major colleges.
Yeah.
Because I think some of them lose focus in terms of worrying about more about their football skills than
hmm
worrying about their grades in the classroom. What do you say to them about you know getting themselves ready to move on to the next level?
I mean, I'm trying
Because
to
I think
figure out the right way to put it, because
yeah,
at the end of the day, like, and I would be a hypocrite if I said you have to focus on your studies, and
right.
then
Well, yeah,
like we
yeah,
try, but at
yeah.
the end of the day, right? But with all that being said, um, if at the high school level, especially the way things are now, especially with the way technology is, social
Hmm.
media, I keep going back, and when we were playing, we didn't have these outlets like YouTube and Huddle accounts, and so you had to go to like big schools, and you really had to put in that extra time to make sure you were at in tip top performance
Sure.
every week. Now, I mean, you still have to perform on the weekend on game days,
Game days,
but
yeah.
you still have other outlets where you know there are people and there are resources that can help you get better in the off season.
Yes.
School is the one thing that if you can't discipline yourself to take care of your grades in high school when it's easy, you know, it just makes your college experience that much more harder.
Harder. Yeah.
Because yeah, again, with high school, I mean, I've having been through both of us, high school's easy.
Yeah.
And on top of that, even if I wanted to miss school, you have people, you have hall monitors, you have you have teachers that will call home and tell your parents that you missed school. In college, you miss a class, sometimes the teacher doesn't even know your name.
Yeah.
And so the teachers don't really care if you miss class or not. So like if you can't lock down that discipline to get your grades or to do your homework, to take care of school, it's going to take away from your true college experience.
Yeah.
You're going to struggle in college. You're not going to really enjoy college because you're too busy, going to study hall and being on academic probation and not fun.
Right.
We've been there. It's not fun at all.
It's not fun at all. But yeah, I mean, like you're saying, is in high school, I mean, there's help. I mean, because a lot of us really sometimes are afraid to ask for help, thinking that, well, they probably think I'm dumb for asking some, help. But, most of the time that if in high school you're trying to get your grade, there's help out there. Plus, like you said, if you don't do that in high school, your college experience is going to be rough going into in college. Because here's the other thing is that when you leave home, there's nobody else are out there telling you what to do. It's all up to you what you want to do up there, because they don't tell you to wake up and go to class. They don't tell you to do your homework. It's all you doing that by yourself. For the discipline, you have to be disciplined to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean the football staff and the football program do help you get through it, but you have to be willing to do it also to benefit yourself from doing all this stuff. So fast forward there. So you left high school, you went on a church mission to Honduras. Is that was your choice to go on those on your church mission before entering college?
Yeah, that was my choice. I was grateful for that choice. It was a really hard choice to follow through on, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the whole recruiting experience and how you said it's fun getting all these letters and
Right.
coaches are coming to visit you at school and call you.
Mhm.
It's not so fun when you ask them, "Hey, I'm wondering if you could just give me like a 2-year break for church reasons."
It's true.
And
That's
the
true.
letters stop coming, and then the phone calls start turning into, well, let me talk to the coach and I'll get back to you. And it's really their way of saying, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
don't do it. Yeah.
So yeah, everything just kind of felt like it was going downhill like really fast. But it all worked out in the end. I was able to get signed and things worked out, but it was definitely a pretty rough decision to make or
Yeah.
follow through with. It wasn't a hard decision to make, but it was hard to kind of follow through with.
Sure. What colleges that you were thinking of that recruited you heavily?
So at the time, I had pretty much everyone in the Pac-10,
Okay.
with the exception of um, UCLA.
Okay.
So I had everyone in Pac-10, and then I had some smaller schools like Montana, and then and then there was a school that backed out last minute, Northwestern. But but all those schools, and then in the end, Utah was also in the mix.
A mix. Okay. But I think now with the, I think a lot of this universities, what BYU has done, from long time, even, given if you wanted to go on your church mission, they allow you to do it. And I think some of the colleges now are doing that allowing some of these kids to go on their mission, not just BYU, but some other colleges are allowing kids to do that now. Is that is that true or
Yeah, that
no?
case now you'll find now a lot more and more players are going on LDS missions,
Sure.
and and without needing to go to like a BYU. Before you
Yeah.
had to go to,
It was only BYU was given that.
yeah, BYU, Utah, some of the schools that had like the LDS influence.
Sure. Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, and there were, I would say, there were a few one-offs. There were some people that did um go on missions and still go to
Mhm.
the school that
Sure.
outside of Utah and BYU.
Mhm.
But I feel like that was more that some head coaches having being familiar with you know what the church mission means to
Church
some of
mission.
us
Yeah. Yeah.
boys, and how to handle them when they get back, and kind of get their legs back.
Was that helpful for you to when you were going on to 2 years, then coming back, because you missed 2 years of football. You go on a mission, you miss 2 years of football. You're not even thinking about football at all, and then you come back after the 2 years. You jump in right into it. Was that how was the difference? And
The transition was, I would say the transition was pretty smooth.
okay,
Yeah, 2 years, you know, football would kind of come and go, but we were pretty occupied with other things, just doing on our mission. But it was a rough transition coming back. But I think because BYU has, they have the staff and they've been doing it for so long, they were able to get me back in shape on the field without any serious injuries. And I was,
sure.
and I was able, I think a lot of luck had to play with it too. So the year I got back, normally when people get back from their missions, they take a year to kind of get their legs back
Get
and
back.
recover.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Get the body
Fortunately,
back. Yeah.
yeah, but fortunately, I was able to come back and play right away, along with a couple others that went on their missions. So I think for me, being away for 2 years, one, it really made me appreciate how fortunate I was to play football and to still be playing football. So it kind of gave me that level, the extra kind of encouragement to not waste the
Sure.
opportunity. But secondly, it definitely helped me again just be more disciplined,
Yeah.
um, and more mature.
I
Just
think you
be
grow up a little bit too. I mean, you grow up immaturely. I mean, you mature a little bit, you grow up a little bit, you see things a whole differently than coming out of high school, right?
yeah, definitely.
So
And so yeah, I mean, it has its pros and cons. I will be honest, like there are some cons to it, but I think the pros outweigh the cons,
mhm,
just in,
yeah,
in my personal opinion.
yeah. So coming back, you played with, I mentioned here that you blocked for Harvey Bunga, and how was that playing with Harvey and the team that you played on at BYU?
Oh man, we had so much fun. Um, that first year coming, when I came back, I was actually, I came back. I had lost like 60 pounds on my mission,
Oh wow.
and so when I
Okay.
came back, still trying to come back and put on some weight. And so the first running back that I blocked for was actually Fahutahi.
Oh, okay.
And so he
Okay.
I was actually fortunate enough to have him. He was a senior my freshman year. And so, he had his aspirations to go to the NFL, and his mind was set. And so he was doing
Sure.
things to help himself get there. And I was lucky enough to kind of tag along and just see his work ethic, see how he studied the game of football and how he played. And then so that helped, the following years when I started playing with Curtis Brown, who first broke the record, and then Harvey broke his record the year after.
Oh,
So I was just with, I got lucky. I played with a bunch of good guys,
yeah.
that made my easy. And then on top of that, on top of all of that, we had Robert and I was our offensive coordinator.
Oh, wow.
So he brought this whole new like attitude, that Paulie style. Like, I don't give a damn. Line up 10 people in the box, we're gonna run the ball kind of mentality.
That's it. Huh?
So that made practices very fun and competitive, and just it was awesome playing with a lot of great guys.
Well, I think that's like you're saying, you had some upperclassmate that when you came in as a rookie, as a freshman, I mean, you look up to these guys, and thankfully they helped you out, lead you in the right direction, and especially you're the blocker, so they better be nice to you because you're blocking for them.
Luckily, I wasn't that kind of person that would just miss a block.
Yeah. So what was your weight when you playing? When you came back, you said you needed to gain some weight back. What was your weight when you came back?
I came back weighing 210.
Okay.
And I left the field. I was about 240, 235, 240.
240.
And so I came back at 210, and I tried to pack on all the weight like as fast as I could, thinking that I needed to. So I was eating nonstop, and it made for a very rough camp my first week. Yeah. And then so I finally started to figure out how to put it on slowly, like a healthier way of putting on weight.
Yeah. So now in college, so when did you realize that you might have a chance to get into the NFL? Because I think there's most of us do play. When we get into playing, I mean, that's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Yeah.
Most of us have is to make it into the NFL. But sometimes in college, there's sometimes things doesn't look promising or go a different way. But but sometimes you really realize that, well, maybe I can make the NFL. So.
Yeah, for me it was kind of the same thing. Like, we all wanted to play in the NFL. We all had dreams of playing NFL. It didn't become a reality until I very similar to high school, until I got to my junior year, and then I started. By then I had a lot of the mentors, I would call them, like just people that I looked up to, I would call for advice, who were playing in the league. And they would give me feedback and be like, hey, keep it up. You're looking good. And if, so that's kind of gave me the motivation, the push that I needed. So about my junior year and then my senior season, it was kind of like, at that point, that's kind of where I decided I was just going to put all my eggs in that NFL basket. It was kind of like NFL or bust for me.
Right. Why not? No, but the thinking, that's always the thinking, and if you don't think like that, then why even, get into playing football? Because listen, I mean, for me, when I was a kid, I mean, coming up as 8th, 7th, 9th grade, I was already thinking about the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mentality, that I was thinking about the NFL at that time. And then I was doing things that some of these kids weren't doing at that time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I did things on my own. I went and did stuff on my own, and we did all the work that we did supposed to be doing it in school, but I also did other stuff to better myself. But But if you don't think like that, if you don't think about making it to the NFL, then, something is, kind of wrong.
Yeah, at that point, then, like before I used to be like, well, then at that point, what's the point? Why are you putting your body through so much?
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, we put our bodies through so much pain, and
Yeah.
and now we pay the price for it,
Yeah.
years after playing. So I
Yeah.
mean, at that point, if you're gonna sell, there's the motivators, they always say, if you're gonna suffer, you might as well get paid for it, right? You're gonna,
Exactly.
if this is if you're gonna play this violent sport, at least make it worth it in the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
I agree.
guys that make it into the NFL after college, it's 1% or 1.5% that makes it into the NFL. So it's a low percentage of making it to the NFL. So if like you said, if you don't think about making it to the NFL, then why play the game? That's the goal for anybody for most players that plays this game is to
Yeah.
make it to the NFL. So, and the other way, the other side of it is how important is that for a player to have a degree when he comes out of college? Because most of us really, don't make it, or make it, 1 or 2 years and 3 years, and that's it. I mean, that's the lifespan of any of a running back is 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Oh man, like that's so kind of going back to what I said, I putting all my eggs in the NFL basket. It gave me the results that I wanted,
Sure.
right? But um, but because I didn't finish my degree on time, it actually delayed everything that I wanted to do and achieve with my family. It kind of it set me back, and it set my family back at least 5 years, because we played, and then I once I was done playing and I got released, I'm trying to apply for these jobs, and the only thing I can put on my resume is I'm an NFL fullback. I mean, there's a lot to be said. Like I can definitely like prove that I have work ethic, I have leadership skills, all the things that come with being a successful athlete. But a lot of those things don't compare to like work history. And if I don't have my degree, the credentials to back it up,
Yeah.
then all they see on a piece of paper is, oh, this guy is just a former football player.
Player.
Not a lot of people understand what goes into being, playing football. But so for me, it was once I got done playing, my wife and I, we took a year off and just kind of went Eva, and we enjoyed our time. And then it was like, okay, let me try to find a job. And I tell you, it was the most depressing year, like not being able to put anything on my resume, because I've never worked, football takes up all of our time.
Sure.
Never held a job that, that counted. Yate doesn't count. You can't, you can put on a resume, but that doesn't count. And then so, I had to go back to school. So fortunately, I was able to go back to school and finish my degree. And then even after finishing my degree, I still had to build up some work history. So,
You
I
weren't
mean,
promised
it
a job
definitely,
after getting a degree.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I always say is, I mean, yeah, the NFL is awesome, but if you really want to take advantage of that experience, get your degree before you go into the league. Because once you're in the league, when you go, and this was the hardest lesson that I had to learn, was I got into the league with no degree. And because I was in the league, I had access to so many people. I was constantly meeting like CEOs and business owners and people who genuinely would like, hey, whatever you need, let me know. Like I can help you. And so I'm reaching out, hey, I'm looking for, looking for some job. Yeah, did you finish your degree? Oh no, I don't. man, get your degree out and I'll plug you in wherever you want to go. And that was kind of the conversation. So,
Yeah.
you know, it sucked being around all these people that could really help me. But, you know, I didn't have my degree, and I didn't have the credentials it took for them to help me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, because like you said, you meet a lot of people playing football, and all these people are promising, "Hey, whatever you need, let me know." And then you get out of football, like you just said. They said, "Oh, did you get your degree?"
Yeah.
No. Oh, why don't you go get it? Then call me back.
Yeah. Or it was like, oh well, I can hire you over here. It's a little office job, but you know, you can hold that job until you finish your degree. Then we can, bump you up to a
Right.
supervisor. But even then, like I had to go to school, and that was I really fell behind in school just because I took my foot out. I focused on football 100%, and so it bit me in the butt in the end.
So you've when Kalan Sitake was hired to BYU, um, I saw that you were you went in to be a GA, a grad assistant for him. How
Yeah.
how was that experience? Did he allow you to come and get your degree there and help out with him?
So I actually I finished my degree
Oh, you already got your
with
degree.
Bronco.
Okay.
And then that was his last year. And then when Kalani came on, he I was fortunate enough to kind of work. I was volunteering for a year, and then I got hired on as the GA shortly after. But yeah, it was always, working with Kalani and then the rest of the staff was kind of like it was a very proud moment, because
Sure.
first Tonga head coach.
Yes.
And then he brought in great people, and then the people that I was able to, well, a lot of people didn't know is my last year as a GA, I was on the defensive side, so I worked with Elisa and those guys, and so for me, because I still, my passion is still football, so I wanted to learn as much as possible,
Sure.
and so Kalani was like, oh yeah, just do some go work as a GA on defense, so you can see, because you'll be able to help them, because you have eyes as a running back. You can see some of the gaps in defenses, and so it definitely worked out. He was definitely a mentor. He pushed me to always try to achieve more and kind of broaden my horizons when it came to football.
Was that a goal that were you looking to see if you could get into coaching?
I mean, that was always a goal. Whether it was coaching at BYU, I mean, obviously that's the ultimate goal of
The
being
ultimate
a
goal,
college coach. But really, my main goal was just to stay involved in football.
Football. Okay.
I just that was just one of my deals. Like I just wanted to be a part. I just wanted to be around the game.
Sure.
And so whether it's volunteering or just kind of working on defense and being around the game, learning about the game, learning all, like, as much as I can. Like I was really, that was what made me a great player in college, was I was a student of the game, so I could, I studied a lot more. I studied more in the film room than in my actual textbooks.
Yeah.
And so that was my motivation. That's kind of what pushed me, and I was fortunate enough to work with these guys. Like I said, that was like, they were very supportive in that, like, whatever we can do, because the reality is there's only so many positions, coaching positions at the college level. And so,
if
but for
given
me,
a chance,
more about,
if given a chance
sorry?
to go back and if given a chance to go back and coach, would you do it in a college
Now,
level? Yeah.
I think now I would.
Okay. Is that because you're
having
ready now? Is that because now you're ready mentally? You're ready for it, or?
No, it was just, having been in the NFL, the one thing that's never taken into account is just how volatile the career is. So, like, you're always on the bubble. You never know, like, what the next year is going to hold. So, like, after every season, it's kind of like you're holding your breath to make sure you stay on the roster.
Right.
As
Every
a
year.
coach, yeah, every year, as a player, every year you're
Every
coming
year.
in January,
Yeah.
hoping that you still have a locker. And so, at the coaching level, I started to see, you're putting in more hours.
Yeah.
You're putting in, there's a lot more time that goes into coaching, and it's just as, up and down as being a player. So for me, that was that's kind of why I decided I wanted to step away, because schedule wise, my kids were getting of
Sure.
age where it
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
taking interest in sports. So the final straw was, if I was, just talking with my wife and just talking to my kids, they wanted to play sports, but the schedule was just too demanding at right now.
Sure.
So I figured if I was gonna, put all my time and energy, in any kid, it should be my own.
Yeah.
And so,
That's I think you hit it on the head there, because as a coach, especially a college coach, that it takes all their time away from their families, because not only during the season that you're coaching and traveling, off season you have to go and recruit, and you're out there, all year round, and not have time for your own kids. You just said it right there. If I'm going to give my time, I would rather give it to my kids. And I mean,
yeah,
that's a hell of a statement right there.
yeah, and honestly, again, I would, if given the opportunity, I would go back. I would, if in a perfect world, once
Mhm.
everyone is done playing. But I really say that because I understand the sacrifice it takes.
Yes.
My family, my wife, they sacrificed a lot while I was, playing, because I was gone all year. Been in the off season, I was out training and
Yes.
doing all these things. So I've asked them to sacrifice. I've asked her to sacrifice all that time
Right.
before. And then for come back and ask her to sacrifice it again. I felt like that would be selfish of me. And so I wanted to at least give her some time,
Sure.
me being around. And so
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, if it was just me, I would have already been.
Already been there, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into the NFL. So you came to Oakland, right next door to where you grew up, where you went to high school, and what was going through your mind, man? Because coming home, you're going home to play. You know what I mean? You're going home to play. All your families are out here, and you're coming home to play. How was that feeling, man? That had to be a great feeling, just knowing that you're coming to play for the Raiders, and all your families around here.
Man, it was honestly, it was very bittersweet, growing up where we at, I think everyone with the exception of two people in my family were all Niner fans, sorry.
Oh,
All
Niner
Niner fans.
Oh,
And then there was only my uncle and my mom's oldest brother, and then my cousin. They were the only Raider fans in the whole family. And so for me, it was great being able to go back home and
mhm.
just, be somewhat in my stomping ground. I grew up in the West Bay, but I
Sure.
was in familiar territory. So it was
Yeah.
a very easy transition for me. But it was also it was kind of hard at the same time, because in a time where you need to be discipline and dedication and hard, all that stuff that you've learned in your high school and college career really applies at the NFL level. And so for me, it was great to be home, but it wasn't that great because it was easy to get distracted.
Distracted. I was just
Yeah,
gonna say, yeah.
we had family events or friends, and for me, I wanted to go and I wanted to go catch up. From the moment I graduated high school, I left, and so I was gone. I was out of California, And so, being able to catch up with some of my friends and just link up with and go out to eat and do whatever, like that was fun for me. But sometimes I found myself, okay, this could potentially be a major distraction.
I think you just said it. I was just gonna say that it's a big distraction for you because being home, being close home, and all your friends are around. Um, they all want to hang out with you. They all want to do stuff with you, but sometimes you hate to say no to them, but sometimes it's a big distraction, and it takes away from what you were out here to do, was making it playing football. So, but how was the experience though? You played in the NFL. How was the experience? It had to be a good experience for you because hey, you made it to the NFL.
Oh man, it was just to put it plainly, it was a dream come true. It was an experience of a lifetime. Everything that I had dreamt it would be, that's what it was. Like I everything that I thought it was gonna be, everything that I envisioned the NFL being, being able to play in the NFL, all of that stuff, like that's how my experience was, and then some. It was just the football part of it, the football aspect of it was amazing, being able to play in different stadiums and just being able to play play on the same team as and against people that you grew up playing Madden. You grew up watching it. But at the same time, I think for me, what the cherry on top was just being able to get to know get to know my teammates and get to know the other players in the league and realize that I would say 98% of the guys in the league are just as normal as you and I. You probably have one or two oddballs that actually, the types of people that end up in the news for, going bankrupt and, doing weird stuff, DUI, like the guys that I had in our locker room, they were, man, some of the most genuine, loving,
that's true.
just awesome people. And I would say a lot of them were people that if you were to see them in the street, just out in downtown, you never would have known, you'd never guessed that they were, multi-millionaire.
We're just normal people.
Normal people.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty awesome experience.
There's a lot of times people put football players on the pedestal. They put it up there and they look up to them. But like you said, they're just regular people. But they are different because they've gone through some trials and error to make it into the professional level. So that's the difference with other people. But personality wise, they're the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was that. I mean, that's really what pushed my experience over the edge, was knowing that there was a locker room full of guys that were just very respectful. In my family, we were coming in undrafted. There were some things that that are normal, in an NFL locker room. $1,000, Christmas gifts and Secret Santa gifts. And not having to worry about it because everyone knows that I'm undrafted, so they know what kind of money I was making at the time, and they knew I had a family. So like I said, it was just very, just wholehearted, like just loving people, like people that I'm not gonna shout them or put their name out there, but
you're still
these are
friends
people
with
that I will forever love them.
You're still friends with these guys. I'm still friends with the guys that I played with, so we still talk. And it's a fraternity. Getting into the NFL it's a fraternity. So, and sometimes it's people put us on a pedestal, but otherwise we're still the same people walking down the street. We breathe the same air, we eat the same
Yeah.
food. So, but what after leaving the NFL, uh, what are you doing now with?
So right now I'm a program manager for a youth home for it's called the RTC. So it's a residential treatment center.
Okay.
So the boys that I have, they actually live at the facility that we.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm the program director there.
Okay.
And so my I kind of took a liking to the whole. When I went back to get my degree, I found myself more and more interested in the mental health, substance abuse field.
Sure.
And oddly enough, Kalani Setake's dad, Tom,
Yeah.
Uncle Tom. So
Uncle
he
Tom.
was, he was a big dog over at the Utah State Hospital in Provo, where
Oh,
it's
okay.
a mental state, it's a mental state facility,
Uh-huh.
and he did vocational training there, and he was one of the top dogs up there. So to make a little money, I went and started working with him at the hospital, and then from there, I learned really quickly that I have a good rapport with people.
Yeah.
I'm easy. People like they respond really well to me, and so from there I kind of just started building my resume in the mental health field. Did some marketing, business development for other facilities,
Hmm.
and now I'm just doing and so now I'm a program director for a place called Highland Ridge Hospital, and I do
Nice.
their RTC boys.
Uh-huh. So actually, that's something. I mean, being in the mental health field, um, people see that as nowadays with all this shootings and all this stuff that's happening around the world, and the
Mhm.
first thing they say is it's mental health. Uh, you know, um, but you've learned to adjust and learn to uh, to like these. I take it that some of these your clientels like you because of what you do for them. You know.
Yeah, there's a huge like right now there's a huge stigma, like when people say mental health they automatically jump to like what they see in the movies, like the crazy people, right?
Yeah.
um but really, like a lot of the boys that I bring in, and I think
Uh-huh.
the reason why, and it's not just me, Polynesians in general, and this is what I've heard from numerous people across the country, we just have a natural ability to walk into a room and just everybody calms down, and we don't really have to say much, just our presence
Right.
alone. um
Mhm.
and so the boys that we deal with, a lot of them, they suffer from, they're diagnosed with ADHD, which means they're
Sure.
hyper, or
Right.
but really the I kind of treat it, you know not on as a strict scale, but like the way we were raised.
Sure.
If I was having a bad attitude, if I wasn't behaving, I got disciplined.
Sure.
Obviously we can't really touch the kids, but we can punish them, and or we can discipline them or correct their behaviors. A lot of times these kids, it's really just a behavioral issue.
Sure.
The mental side of it kind of comes, once they can figure out that their behaviors get corrected, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times, so my approach to a lot of these kids, especially these kids that come from like DTs and juvenile centers, um, like I said, they do have some pretty severe mental issues,
Hmm.
but we all do. And I
We
don't
all.
want to. I'm not trying to minimize mental health, right?
Right.
Mental health is a serious thing, but it's not as. I feel like it's not as serious as like Hollywood tries to make it seem. Like
Make it. Yeah.
we can still reach people. People with mental illness are still human beings that they just
Yes.
have real feelings. And so as Polynesians, I mean, and we just naturally have we're laid back people, but when it's time to drop the hammer, we can drop the hammer. And so, so that's kind of what I learned about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I've
That's a lot of
taken to this
patience.
field.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
patience. You
it requires a lot of patience and humility.
Humility.
But it's good.
Yeah, I mean I think that's what it is about life anyway. You got to treat people the way you want to be treated, and if somebody has a little trouble, then you got to treat them a little bit more careful, and not just yell at them.
Yeah, you kind of learn some of the skill. Yeah, you don't just yell at them.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, the kids that we have, and they're pretty, a lot of them have had suicide attempts, or they've tried to, they constantly have these thoughts, but that doesn't mean you don't treat them like a human being. There's different ways to approach these people, but at the end of the day, they're real people with real feelings, and so you just tap into that. As long as you can find a way to tap into that, then everything else kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah, man, more power to you, man, because if you tap into some of these kids and they get to like you, then you're doing a great job. Carlo, welcome back. Anything else before we close out with Manase?
No, I'm just really glad that I managed to catch up with you gentlemen, and especially with you, Manase. I'm not too sure why my laptop has decided to just give me half a screen, but I can't see the 21 other members that have commented, so I do apologize to the members. But Diploma Hausia sends his best wishes to you, Manase, and also Cindy Samu. She mentioned here that she was really in supportive of you, that you chose to go on your mission. So just
Thank you.
relaying.
You got the hardcore Raider Nation on.
Hey, I'll take all of it.
Hardcore Nation. Loma.
But I can't see the rest of the comments, but just relaying the members' love and admiration and for you, Manase.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
thank you.
We've gone through about an hour now, man. I know his time is limited. So, Manase, thank you for accepting our invitation. Man, a good conversation, man. I love this
Sure.
our conversation. And good luck with you with everything that you're doing now with your family and what you're doing now with the mental health. If it happens for you to go back to being a coach, more power to you. And then your last word you want to leave our audience with?
No, I just want to thank you all for your support. Thanks for tuning in. Carlos, nice meeting you. Thanks for having me on. Tim, it's always a pleasure, chatting. Always a pleasure linking up. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. And if you have young, high school kids, or if you have young kids, who want to pursue, whether it's athletics or anything academic, my advice to them is just surround them with as many resources as you can, and just let them go to work. I found that pressing them too hard too fast might burn them out. But us, just naturally as Polynesian people, we are so gifted. There's a lot of untapped talent that we don't even know about. So I'm excited for our younger generation. The things they're doing now with music, with just graphic design. Our young kids right now are freaking flying. So I want to just encourage you guys to keep going, and let's just keep supporting each other.
All right, man. Thank you for
Thank
that
you,
message.
Manase.
Appreciate it. And we'll see you soon, man. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
Malo,
Ofat Manase.
Ofat.
Malo. Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you, members. Don't forget, Tim, you've got the steering wheel.
Oh, Okay. Well, thank you. We'll end it here.
Okay, Malo.
Uh,